Well, shalom, my brothers and sisters in Yahuwah, our Elohim, and welcome to Wednesday, our midweek Bible study. I hope everybody's got a good start to their week, and we're just flying on through it. Shabbat's right around the corner. So, this week we're going to be studying Debarim, which is Deuteronomy, chapters 13, 14, and 15. So go ahead and grab your Bibles. Please read along with me. I want you to read along so that you can see it with your eyes and hear it with your ears. And also, we're going to have our references. Because Deuteronomy is kind of a review of the rest of the Torah, we're going to be giving references to write down in your sidebars. So that way, when you are by yourself doing study, you can go ahead and reference back to wherever it is that we're looking at in Scripture. Okay? So grab a pen too, grab something to drink, and get comfortable, and we'll get going tonight. Okay? Alright, gang. I want to welcome everybody in. Glad to see everybody here. Thank you for coming. Alright, let's get ready. Debarim, which is Deuteronomy, chapter 13. When there arises among you a prophet, or a dreamer of dreams, and he shall give you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder shall come true, of which he has spoken to you, saying, let us go after other mighty ones which you have not known, and serve them. Okay, so we're talking about a deceiver here. Someone who's trying to lead you astray. Alright, into thinking that, oh, it's okay if we go and we'll check this out or check that out. Or, hey, you got a Ouija board? Or any of that kind of crazy stuff. Hey, let me read your cards for you. Or, oh, look at what I've got, a magic 8-ball. Let's do your fortune. Yeah, any of that kind of stupid stuff. Alright? This is where we're going to be going over all of that. Alright? And it's pretty stiff. So get ready, gang, because I know that popular belief in this society is not going to like what this has to say. But this is what Yah tells us. Okay? This is his commands. Okay? So here we go. Verse 3. Do not listen to the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahuwah your Elohim is trying you to know whether you love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being. He's trying you. It's a test. Don't flunk it. Okay, verse 4. Walk after Yahuwah your Elohim and fear him, and guard his commands, and obey his voice, and serve him, and cling to him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams is put to death, because he has spoken apostasy against Yahuwah your Elohim. Alright? Your reference for that is Leviticus 19, verse 31. Okay? So go ahead and write that in there so that way you can reference back to that. Or if you would like, shut off the video and reference back to it. Okay? So that way you know. Alright. Let's move on. Let's do verse 5, start at the beginning. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams is to be put to death, because he has spoken apostasy against Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, and ransomed you from the house of bondage, to make you stray from the way in which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you to walk. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst. Okay, we talked about how the children of Israel are going into the land of Canaan to take it as an inheritance. And we talked about how they're going to have to kill everybody there. All those heathen tribes, they've got to get rid of them. because of the fact that they have to purge the land. They have to get rid of that evil. They have to atone for the wickedness of those tribes through their own blood, because blood is life. Okay? Verse 6, when your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend who is as your own being, entices you secretly, saying, let us go, and serve other mighty ones, which you have not known, neither knew you nor your fathers. Here's your next reference, Leviticus 20:27. We're going to go there, okay? We're going to go there because this is pretty important stuff. So Leviticus 20. This is hard stuff, so we got to know this. Okay, 27. Okay, here it is. And a man or a woman in whom there is a medium, or who are spiritualists, shall certainly be put to death. They are to stone them with stones. Their blood is upon them. See, this is a serious thing. Yahuwah is making a point to us. We can't tolerate that. We can't tolerate the idol worship. We can't tolerate the messing around in the dark arts or any of that stuff. We can't tolerate it, because if we allow it to come into our lives or into our families' lives, it's corrupting us. Can't do as the nations do. We can't do it. We can't be giving idol worship to, the football players or the baseball players or any sports or any musicians or any actors and actresses or politicians. MAGA. Can't be doing any of that. Okay? So we have to destroy it from out of our midst. It has to be destroyed. Okay? So let's go ahead and move on from that. Verse 7. Of the mighty ones of the people which are all around you. All around us in society, everywhere. Look at how many idols there are around us, everywhere. Near to you, or far off from you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. Do not agree with them, or listen to him, nor shall your eye pardon him, nor spare him, or conceal him. But you shall certainly kill him. Your hand is first against him, to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people. Okay, now remember how this all works. In order to accuse anybody of anything, you have to have more than 2 witnesses. 2 or more witnesses. And if you're the one accusing somebody, guess what? You're the one to cast the first stone. So you better not be just telling tales and goofing around and mad at somebody and you're going to try to get back at them. You better not be, or you're going to be held accountable for their death. Yahuwah will hold you accountable for it. So you better be sure of what you're doing here. But like I said, this goes against our society nowadays. So it's a hard pill to swallow. But this is a commandment. This is what we're supposed to be doing. That's why we're so messed up. That's why there's so much deception. That's why there's so much evil and wickedness and Satan worship and everything else that our children are being exposed to every single day. Look at these TV shows. Are you kidding? All the sodomites and the Satanistic ritual and everything else going on TV and on our movies. I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't even stomach trying to watch any of these new movies. My wife says, hey, how about if we go check out a movie, or how about if we rent something out of the Red Box and we stand there for 20 minutes looking at everything, and it's just repulsive. I don't even want to waste my time on it because it's so disgusting and so sinful and nasty. So just be aware of these things and how we are supposed to handle it. Okay? Destroy it by not paying attention to it. Destroy it. Get rid of your TV. Destroy it. Don't be looking at pornography. Destroy it. Get rid of it. Out of your house. Get rid of it. Don't have this stuff around your kids. Don't let them fall into the trap. Okay? Alright. Let's move on. Verse 10. And you shall stone him with stones until he dies, because he sought to entice you away from Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage. And let all Yisrael hear and fear, and not again do any such evil matters as this in your midst. Make sure that everybody in your house and in your circle knows that you ain't going to tolerate it. That you ain't going to put up with none of it. Make a stand. Your yes be yes and your no be no. Make a stand over it. Verse 12. When you hear someone in one of your cities, which Yahuwah your Elohim gives you to dwell in, saying, some men, sons of Baal, have gone out of your midst and led the inhabitants of their city astray, saying, let us go and serve other mighty ones whom you have not known. Oh boy. Then you shall inquire, search out, and ask diligently, and see if the matter is true, and establish that this abomination was done in your midst. So like I was saying before you accuse anybody, you better make sure that what you're saying is right. Your accusations are correct. Okay? Very important. You don't want to accuse somebody falsely. No. No. Verse 15. You shall certainly strike the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, putting it under the ban. That means killing them all. And all that is in it, and its livestock with the edge of the sword. Everything. Shlop. Blam. Smot. Verse 16, and gather all its plunder into the middle of the street, and completely burn it with fire, the city, and all its plunder before Yahuwah your Elohim, and it shall be a heap forever, never to be built again. Oh boy, talking about cities. How about these wicked cities? Denver, Portland, Chicago, Minneapolis. They are just so wicked. The whole country is so wicked. That's why we're under judgment. Sure is. And no repentance. Verse 17, if you notice, that's why it says in Revelation that Mystery Babylon will be smoked in 1 hour. And they're talking, yeah, that all talks about us. The U.S., us. All of us. Smoked. Toasted. Done in 1 hour because of our unrepentant sin and our wickedness. We deserve it, gang. We deserve it. And it's going to happen. Just read along with what this says. It is going to happen. Verse 17, and none of that which is put under the ban is to cling to your hand. Don't take none of it home. You take it with you, you're taking the creepiness with you. So that Yahuwah turns from the fierceness of his displeasure, and shall show you compassion, love you, and increase you, as he swore to your fathers. When, okay, not if, when you obey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim, to guard all his commands which I command you today, to do what is right in the eyes of Yahuwah your Elohim. This is a pretty strong message here, gang, because this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be destroying that evil, that wickedness from amongst us, from our midst. Yeah, yeah. The followers of Yah are supposed to be taking care of business here. Are we? No. Go along to get along. Oh yeah, look at those bumper stickers. Coexist. Yeah. Those are horrible. Those, ugh. Alright, enough is enough. Chapter 14, okay? You are the children of Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not cut yourselves, nor shave the front of your head for the dead. Okay, I've got two references on this. Ready? Leviticus 19, verse 27, and Leviticus 21, verse 4, where Yah is foot stomping this stuff, okay? Don't be cutting yourself. Don't be getting tattoos. Don't be doing anything like that. I know the newest trend right now is to take the ashes of your dead relative and mix them into the ink and have them tattooed into your body. Really? I mean, come on. I got tattoos all over me. But there's no way. That's just, talk about unsanitary. We learned in Leviticus that Yah is all about being sanitary. And that is just, whoa, over the top. Okay, verse 2. For you are a set-apart people to Yahuwah your Elohim, and Yahuwah has chosen you to be a people for himself, a treasured possession above all the people who are on the face of the earth. Okay? Verse 3. Do not eat whatever is abominable. This has to do with Leviticus 11. So write that in your sidebar so that you can go back and research it and read Leviticus 11. Read it in depth. These are the living creatures which you do eat. The ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, and gazelle, and roebuck, and wild goat, and mountain goat, and antelope, and mountain sheep. And as we found out during our Leviticus 11 study, as we found out, yak is okay. Remember my grandson asked me, well, Grandpa, what about yak? I don't know. Let's look it up. Yak is okay. If you've got a yak and you're hungry, you're good to go. Crazy kids. Verse 6, and every beast that has a split hoof divided in two, chewing the cud, among the beasts you do eat. But of those chewing the cud, or those having a split hoof completely divided, you do not eat, such as these, the camel, and the hare, and the rabbit. Yeah, I know. We used to eat rabbit too. Good stuff, but not supposed to eat it. Why? Because it's got parasites. Gotta wait. That's why you hunt rabbits in the months of the R's. Yeah. November, December, January, February, because it gets cold enough to where it kills the parasites. Yuck. You ever cut open a rabbit that has parasites? Yeah, shoot a rabbit in the summertime. There's parasites about the size of my thumb under the skin. It's disgusting. It's really gross. After you see that, you're not going to want to eat rabbit anymore, even though it is a commandment. Okay, do not eat such as these, the camel, and the hare, and the rabbit, for they chew the cud, but do not have a split hoof. They are unclean for you. And the pig is unclean for you, because it has a split hoof, but it does not chew the cud. You do not eat their flesh, or touch their dead carcasses. They also eat poop. They roll in poop. They got all kinds of different bacteria and worms and everything else. You do not eat pork. I know. Pork chops, ribs, pig roast, I had Hawaiian friends. I know all about all of that stuff. But once you understand why, then you know you don't want to eat it. All those parasites? Really? Yeah, they warn you, cook your pork really good. Really? You're still going to be eating those parasites, even though they may be dead. Yuck. I don't know, maybe if you're into worms and stuff, but ugh. Sounds pretty bad to me now that I know. Once you know, you can't unknow. So, there you go. Verse 9. These you do eat of all that are in the water. All that have fins and scales you do eat. So, trout, bass, sunfish, no catfish. I know. Catfish are good, but we can't have them because they don't have scales. Okay? It's going to go into further detail, so let's check it out. Verse 10. And whatever does not have fins and scales, you do not eat. Eel. Don't eat no shark. No swordfish. No scales. Eels don't have fins. Okay. And verse 10, and whatever does not have fins and scales you do not eat, it is unclean for you. Verse 11, any clean bird you do eat, but these you do not eat, the eagle, and the vulture, and the black vulture, and the red kite, and the falcon, and the buzzard after their kind, and every raven after its kind, and the ostrich, and the nighthawk, and the seagull, and the hawk after their kind. Let's stop there for a minute. It says the ostrich. Now, when we did our Leviticus 11 study, I posed the question to everybody, and I never got an answer. But, okay, we can't eat the ostrich itself, but what about ostrich eggs? Ostrich eggs are pretty popular in parts of the world because they're really big eggs. So they're pretty popular. And it doesn't say anything here about not being able to eat the egg. We eat goose eggs and turkey eggs and chicken eggs, everything that's on the farm. So, we have access to all of that because we have a farm. But I don't have an ostrich, so I don't know. And if you know the answer to that question, please share it with us down in the comments. Yeah, right down in there in the comment section. So that way we can have a little bit of clarity. And put your explanation down. Don't just put an opinion, but put an explanation down there of why or why not we can eat or not eat ostrich eggs. Okay? I'm just curious if anybody knows, because I don't. Okay, let's see here. Verse 16, the little owl, and the great owl, and the white owl, and the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the fisher owl, and the stork, the stork, and the heron. There's actually a blue heron season here in Colorado that you can sign up for. Yeah, no thanks. I had one dead in my yard one time out in my field. I was pulling weeds back and I found a dead heron. Those pretty good sized birds. Verse 18, and the stork and the heron after its kind, and the hoopoe and the bat. What did they say started COVID? Eating bats. Ugh. No thanks. No. Right here. Don't eat bats. Verse 19, and every creeping insect that flies is unclean for you. They are not eaten. Insects. No. Yuck. Verse 20, any clean bird you do eat. Do not eat whatever dies of itself. If you're a farmer or you got a farm and one of your animals drops dead for no reason, don't eat it. There's probably something wrong with it. Okay? Verse 21, do not eat whatever dies of itself. Give it to the stranger who is within your gates to eat it, or sell it to a foreigner, for you are a set-apart people to Yahuwah your Elohim. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. And we talked about that too. That's a heathen practice, to take a baby goat and cook it in its own mother's milk. Really? Heartless? Uh-huh. I raised goats. No way. No way. I couldn't even imagine that. That hurts my heart to think about that. That's just, ugh. Okay, verse 22. We're going to be getting into tithing now. You shall tithe without fail all the yield of your grain that the field brings forth year by year. Okay? And now we have to remember that the first tithe was when Abram tithed to Melchizedek after they went and saved Lot from the kings of the plains. He gave Melchizedek 10% of the spoil. Okay? Melchizedek was a Christophany, was a form of Yahushua. Okay? So, we're going to get further into that another time. But right now, if you want to go back and check on what I'm talking about, it's Genesis 14, verse 20. Okay, and that way you can go back and you can check on what all that's about with Melchizedek. But it's 10% of your yearly increase. Okay, that's what a tithe is. Got it? Okay. Alright, let's see here, verse 23. And you shall eat before Yahuwah your Elohim in the place where he chooses to make his name dwell, the tithe of your grain, and your new wine, and your oil, and of the firstlings of your herd, and your sheep, so that you learn to fear Yahuwah your Elohim always. But when the way is too long for you, so that you are not able to bring the tithe, or when the place where Yahuwah your Elohim chooses to put his name is too far from you, when Yahuwah your Elohim is blessing you. Okay, what's the city where Yahuwah put his name? Jerusalem. Yeah, over there in what they call Israel. Jerusalem. Get it? Alright. Verse 25. Then you shall give it in silver, and shall take the silver in your hand, and go to the place which Yahuwah your Elohim chooses, wherever he chooses. And you shall use the silver for whatever your being desires, for cattle, or sheep, for wine, or strong drink, for whatever your being desires, and you shall eat there before Yahuwah your Elohim, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. So, according to what verse 26 says right there, take some money, either take some money and go and buy from the butcher shop whatever it is that you're going to tithe, or take it from your field. There's certain reasons why we should all be farmers and ranchers. There's just reasons for it. First of all the garbage they put in our food, trying to poison us with that stuff, all their bioengineering and baby body parts that they put in stuff, gross. Not only that, but that way we can serve our Elohim with our first fruits. See? Okay. Alright. Verse 27, and do not forsake the Levite who is within your gates, for he has no part nor inheritance with you. At the end of every third year, you bring out all the tithe of your increase of that year and store it up within your gates. Okay, so you store it up every third year. And the Levite, because he has no portion nor inheritance with you, and the sojourner, and the fatherless, and the widow, who are within your gates, shall come and eat and be satisfied, so that Yahuwah your Elohim does bless you in all the work of your hand which you do. Okay, so every third year, you're to save up your tithe, and you're to give it to the needy. Okay, whether it be a Levite, which, in my opinion, a Levite would be someone who is like a preacher, a homeless preacher, or someone like that. Or, like this says, for the sojourner, somebody that you know that's a traveler. They may be homeless and they're traveling. The fatherless and the widow. So, if you know a woman who's got children with no father, they need that food. See how that works? Here's an example for you, and I'm not bragging. I used to have a lot of chickens. I had a lot of chickens. And I had way too many eggs. Well, I tried to sell the eggs. And Yah came to me and told me, don't sell the eggs. I was like, okay. And nobody came to buy the eggs. So then Yah told me to tithe the eggs. I was like, wow, okay, we can do that. So I collected up a whole bunch of egg cartons, and I would collect the eggs, and I would get like 15 or 16, 18 packs of eggs, and I would take them over to this church. Okay, yeah. One day one of the church ladies said, oh, we were really missing you because all of us were missing our eggs this week. And I went, huh? Oh, yeah, whenever you bring your eggs, we love to have your fresh eggs. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all in the church are dividing up the eggs instead of giving them to people that need them. So at that point, I quit giving them to the church. And I was a little bitter in heart. But Yah straightened me out and introduced me to the guy who ran the soup kitchen, the local soup kitchen. And he was a neat person. He was a really neat person. His name was Gary. And he glowed. He glowed with the Ruach. He was such a neat person. And I would take him tons of eggs. And he just would smile. And he was like 80 years old running the kitchen. Yeah, about 5 foot nothing tall. Just an awesome person, though. And he would bless me for bringing the eggs, and he would save the cartons for me, and it was just really, really awesome way to tithe. So if you're in that kind of a situation, there's how you can help people with your tithe, your increase. Okay? See how that works? It's awesome. It is such an awesome thing. Whenever I would see him, he'd come over and give me a big old hug. And like I said, he just glowed. When I first met him, I thought he might be an angel. But he wasn't. He was just a really awesome old man who loved Yahuwah. And that was his thing. He just loved Yahuwah, and he loved helping people. He doesn't do that anymore because he's just too old to do it. And I don't have that many chickens anymore, just enough for our eggs. And so right now I'm looking for another way to do that kind of stuff. Where we live, the EPA has taken our water away because it's now a commodity. So it's really hard for us to grow things out here in the desert without water. Yeah. So I'm looking for a new way to tithe. All right, enough about me. Okay, and that's the end of chapter 14. We want to finish that off so that Yahuwah your Elohim does bless you in all the works of your hands which you do. So that's what another thing about having a farm, is that you can work the land and you can grow things if you've got water. And you can raise animals if you've got water. And you can do all those things. So make sure if you do get a farm that it's got water. And don't let anybody steal your water. Chapter 15. Okay, this is about Jubilees. Okay? And if you want to cross-check all of this, your reference is Leviticus 25. So write that down in your sidebar next to chapter 15. This has to do with the Jubilees. At the end of every 7 years, you make a release of debts. This is the word of the release. Every creditor is to release what he has loaned to his neighbor. He does not require it of his neighbor or his brother, because it is called the release of Yahuwah. So your brother or your neighbor, if you've loaned them, say like $100 or something, then, after 7 years, they don't have to pay you back. And that's cool, whatever. If it takes them that long to be able to try to pay you back, if they're honestly trying to pay you back, just say forget it. Keep it. You need it worse than I do, It's not a big deal. After 7 years, it's not a big deal. Okay, verse 3, this is where it changes. Of a foreigner, you could require it, but your hand is to release whatever is owed by your brother. So if it's a foreigner, a heathen, a pagan, if they owe you some money, then you don't have to forgive their debt, because they're not a follower of the way. Makes sense? They're not an Israelite. Verse 4, only there should be no poor among you, for Yahuwah does greatly bless you in the land which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you to possess as an inheritance. So, if you have a productive farm, there should be no reason why you are in need. Alright? Verse 5, only if you diligently obey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim to guard to do all these commands, which I am commanding you today. For Yahuwah your Elohim shall bless you, as he promised you, and you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. And you shall rule over many nations, but they do not rule over you. Okay? Verse 7, when there is a poor man with you, one of your brothers, within any of the gates in your land, which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you, do not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your poor brother. If you know somebody who's a follower, and they're having hard times, help them out. Verse 8, for you shall certainly open your hand to him, and certainly lend him enough for his need, whatever he needs. Be on guard, lest there be a thought of Baal in your heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is near, and your eye is evil against your poor brother, and you give him naught. And he shall cry out to Yahuwah against you, and it shall be a sin in you. So if you are a follower of Torah, and one of your brothers is in need, okay, say he's hit some hard times, or whatever it is, and you're like, it's almost the Jubilees. The Jubilees is like just a couple of months away or whatever. I'm not going to loan him any money because he'll be released of it in a couple of months and then I'll never see it again. No, don't be like that. That's not nice. That's not loving your brother. That's being a turd. Don't be a turd. Verse 10, you shall certainly give to him, and your heart should not be grieved when you give to him. Because for this reason Yahuwah your Elohim does bless you in all your works, and in all to which you put your hands. Because the poor one does not cease from the land, therefore I am commanding you, saying, you shall certainly open your hand to your brother, to your poor, and to your needy one in your land. When your brother is sold to you, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, and shall serve you 6 years, then let him go free from you in the 7th year. I really hate the idea of slavery. I really do. The way I look at it is if you have a farm, and somebody is really hitting the skids, and you've got room for them, make a deal with them, and allow them to work your land for you, okay? But don't pay them anything per se. Let them work the land and live there rent-free, and whatever they produce on your land is for them, and everything else is for your house. It's like sharecropping, okay? I hate the idea of slavery. Slavery is so terrible. But if you're able to help someone, and you've got a little house or something out there for them to stay in, especially if they got a wife and kids, then it's up to them to be able to produce on your land to try to support themselves for a little bit until they can get back on their feet. See how brother helps brother? It's called brotherly love. Love your brother. Okay. And the check on that, if you want, is Leviticus 25:35. Okay? If you want to check all that out. Verse 13, and when you send him away free from you, let him not go away empty-handed. You shall richly supply him from your flock, and from your threshing floor, and from your winepress, with that which Yahuwah has blessed you with, give to him. So if he is working your land, and tending to your flock, and doing all of those things to help support himself, when he gets back on his feet and he's ready to go on his own with his family, then give him the basic needs for survival. Especially if he's able to get himself a chunk of land. Give him a starter herd. Give him a couple of goats or a couple of sheep or whatever so he can start his own herd. Send him away with some food, so that way him and his wife and kids will have something to eat until they can harvest their own food. Whatever he's done to help you increase, give it to him. That way he goes away not empty-handed. Brotherly love. That's why it's so important for us to have farms. It's so important for us to do agriculture so we can help each other out. Right. What are the 2 most important commands? To love Yahuwah our Elohim with all of our body, mind, and soul, and to love each other as the same. So if we are growing our own food, and we are growing our own herds, and we are doing these things even on a small piece of land, you don't have to have much land, You can do this on an acre or 2. It's not that hard. And if you got an old trailer or a camper or something that him and his family can stay in that's sound, it's not falling apart, the roof caving in and leaking all over the place. If it's sound, then that gives them a place to live instead of being homeless. Homelessness in this country is horrible. It's so sad. Okay. Verse 15. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim, and Yahuwah your Elohim ransomed you. Therefore I am commanding you this word today. And it shall be, when he says to you, I do not go away from you, because he loves you, and your house, because it is good for him with you. Then you shall take an awl, and thrust it through his ear to the door, and he shall be your servant forever. Do the same to your female servant. There again, I'm not crazy about this slavery idea. But, if the guy's like, hey, I went ahead and I purchased a chunk of land just adjacent to your guys' land, what do you say? Can we make it one place and I'll work my side, you work the other, and we'll help each other out? Yeah! Heck yeah! Let's do that. Y'all get along really good. Your families have, become one family. Maybe somebody has married somebody else out of the families. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Exactly. I don't know about putting it all through your ear. But the other idea is great. If you could get a piece of land adjacent to yours, or buy if you got a lot of land, sell them a piece of your land. See? That's how we love each other and become brothers and sisters in Yahuwah. Verse 18. Let it not be hard in your eyes when you send him away free from you, for he has been worth a double hired servant in serving you 6 years. And Yahuwah your Elohim shall bless you in all that you do. So don't be like Uncle Laban. Remember Uncle Laban in Genesis 31? That's your reference, by the way. Don't be like Uncle Laban. No. That was really a terrible thing that he did to Jacob. Kept luring him in and changing the deal and messing him around, and oh yeah, here I'll sell you this daughter, but then he gives him the wrong daughter and he's got to work another 7 years for Rachel. And don't do that. These are common sense things, guys. Verse 19. Set apart to Yahuwah your Elohim all the firstborn males that come from your herd and your flock. Do not work with the firstborn of your herd, nor shear the firstborn of your flock. You and your household are to eat it before Yahuwah your Elohim year by year in the place which Yahuwah chooses. Okay? And those are your feast animals from Leviticus 23. That's your reference on this. Leviticus 23 talks about the feasts, the high holy days. Those are your feast animals, your firstborn of the year. Those are the ones that you use for your feasts, the Pesach and what's it called? Booths, Shavuot. Yeah, those are what you use. Verse 21. But when there is any defect in it, lame or blind, or has an evil defect, do not slaughter it to Yahuwah your Elohim. Eat it within your gates, the unclean and the clean alike, as the gazelle and as the deer. So this doesn't require you to be clean. You can be unclean and still eat of it. Okay? Verse 23. Only do not eat its blood. Pour it on the ground like water. We ain't no heathens. We ain't no pagans. We ain't vampires. Don't be drinking the blood. The blood's the life. Okay? And that ends chapter 15. Alright, gang. Like I was saying, this is kind of a review. You got to remember that the generation that came out of Mitzrayim, they're dead. They dropped dead in the wilderness because they refused to enter the land of Canaan the first time. So Moshe led them around out in the wilderness for 40 years until they all died. The only two that are still left are Joshua and Caleb. Those are the only two that are left out of that generation. So Moshe is having to go back and explain all of this stuff again to this next generation, the second generation. so that they all understand, so that they don't go astray, and so that they go into the land of Canaan, the land of milk and honey, without grumbling about having to go fight the giants and the heathens and the pagans. They'll just do it. All right, gang. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope this study has helped you. I hope that it's helping you to seek wisdom and knowledge from the Most High, from Yahuwah. We have to seek, and then we will find, because Yahuwah will show us. And that's what reading His Word is all about. Thanks for joining again. And I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Tomorrow night will be our extra canonical study in the book of Yashar. Yeah, get them crayons ready, gang, because we're going to be coloring it in the pictures. That's such a fun study. So anyway, if y'all want to stop by tomorrow night, love to see you. If not, then we will see you on Shabbat for our Shabbat Bible study. All right? All right, gang. Y'all have a great night. Yah bless each and every one of you that are seeking righteousness and knowledge and wisdom through His Word. Y'all have a great night. Shalom.